Daniel Hulme, welcome to AI to Peace.
Hi, Jeremy.
Okay, the first question I want to ask you, Daniel, by the way, mate, it's great to see you. Thank you for always supporting us.
Always a pleasure.
First question I want to ask you is, tell us about yourself and your journey.
I've been involved in AI for about 25 years. I started a company about 20 years ago that's been building AI solutions for some of the biggest companies in the world. I sold that to WPP, the biggest marketing company in the world, where I'm now the chief AI officer. And I've just started a research company to try to solve machine consciousness. I'm really interested in making sure that we build AI solutions that are safe for humanity.
Incredible. I've got to ask you, what made you first? I mean, where did the spark start? Where did it begin?
I think when you ask yourself about, what's your place in the universe, what's consciousness, what's the meaning of life, you can't help but start to think about, can you replicate that in machines or in non-biological systems? And so that's really what led me into the world of AI.
Okay. Wow. Look, you sold your company. I met you when you were, that hadn't happened, and you were very supportive to me. But you sold your company to WPP. Like, wow. How do you feel about that?
It's been an amazing journey. WPP, I actually didn't know anything about marketing before joining WPP. I still like to claim that I don't know anything about marketing because it allows me to ask stupid questions, but it's been an incredible journey. Fortunately, AI happened just after the acquisition, which means that I've been tasked with figuring out how do we completely disrupt media marketing communication. So it's been an incredible ride, and it's going to be an exciting 5 years ahead.
And that's what you're doing, is it? So you sold it to WPP and you worked with them for 5 years and you all build it and make it even stronger and really scale it, right?
Yeah, really what we want to do is figure out how do we use AI to automate repetitive structured tasks, freeing people to use their creativity to come up with crazy ideas that differentiate brands. I'm all about figuring out how do we enhance, accelerate and enable creativity.
Amazing. So look, when you hear the phrase AI to peace, what's the reality of that outcome?
For me, and this has been sort of grounded in the mission of Satalia since its inception, is how can we use AI to remove friction from the creation and dissemination of goods, food, healthcare, education, energy, transport. In theory, we can remove so much friction that those goods become free, they become abundant. How could we create a world where everybody is economically free, not just to live for themselves, but to live beyond themselves? I think we all have an innate desire to want to contribute to humanity. I think, unfortunately, we're all born into economic constraints, preventing us from doing that. The promise of AI is to free people from those economic constraints, to allow them to live their true humanity.
So when you think about AI, look, you know about AI. I mean, you really understand it. There's a lot of people that don't, including myself, right? We're all on this journey, yeah? And for some people, there's a lot of fear. We've heard Mr. Musk say, if you're worried about nuclear weapons, get ready for AI, or however he said it. So I want to ask you, I mean, when you think about AI, knowing what you know, do you have fear about its development and the future of it?
I think for me, there are some big questions that we're facing as a species over the next 5-10 years. One, creating a post-truth world. How do we mitigate mistruth? How do we make sure that all of the content that you're engaging with is authentic? How do we make sure that we mitigate the risk of building a superintelligence that might be very bad for humanity? How do we make sure that we don't use these technologies for surveillance capitalism or for surveillance states? How do we mitigate the risk of mass technological employment? There's lots of different directions that we can go as a species. I think that many of those directions are incredibly positive. And one of the reasons why I do a lot of public engagement about AI is to empower leaders, decision makers, to make sure that we're placing the right bets. I actually think that the future could be glorious if we make sure that we apply AI in the right way.
So you are optimistic. In fact, you're more than optimistic. You're actually hopeful that it could be a part of our survival and a part of the solutions that we face as a species.
I think ultimately the future has not been created. I think we've got lots of big questions to face over the next 5-10 years, but ultimately it's down to all of us to create that future. And the more that we educate people, the more that we empower people to make sure that we're using these technologies for good, the better.
So in relation to AI, do you think it's going to come up with some real solutions for us in relation to particularly the manifestation of a more peaceful and sustainable world? I'll give you an example. Other people on this incredible AI to peace that we've built are studying AI and thinking a lot about peace. And what they're basically saying is AI has the ability to inform a mediator about the other side in a way that mediator could never understand or be able to read in time for a mediation session. Now that makes sense. So I can sort of kind of go, wow, I see. So, I mean, when you think about it, what examples or what that you may well give in some of your talks about how AI can actually manifest a more peaceful and sustainable world?
I think there's a criticism around online media. Those algorithms are trying to polarize people, etc., etc. As you mentioned, one of the things that we could be using AI for is to actually create safe, effective dialogue between people. So rather than polarizing people, we could actually get AI to have people collaborating, communicate in more effective ways. So I think that's absolutely one benefit of AI. I think the other benefit is, again, removing the friction from the creation and dissemination of goods, giving people more access to things that enrich their lives. But also, over the next several years, we might build AIs that can push the boundaries of science, that actually can extend human knowledge, which I think is extremely exciting.
It's a pretty positive outlook that you're giving here, Daniel. I mean, you're a dad, you're a family man. I mean, you must be thinking, hang on a minute, I want to do everything that I can to sort of help craft and shape a world where AI really is, impacting positively, right?
Yeah, I think to give the two extremes of the argument, and particularly the concern is around job losses. To give you one extreme, I guess the concern is if we can free up whole jobs with AI, we probably will. The capitalistic model to reduce costs, increase profits means we probably will free up whole jobs. If that happens very quickly, then we could have social unrest because our economies can't rebalance. I think that's a real risk. We need to lean into it and mitigate some of those issues. But the opposite or the other extreme is that as we are removing friction from the creation and dissemination of those goods become essentially free. So in a world where people don't have access to paid work, but yet they still have access to all of the goods that they need to survive and thrive, again, enabling them to do things that they want to do rather than bounded by economic constraints. So actually, I see a path to the creation of that world. And again, the more more people that we empower to help us along that path, I think the more achievable it's going to be.
Incredible. Okay, so if people would like to support you on your journey, I mean, can we read anything? Have you written a book? I mean, obviously that's going to be on its way. But I mean, look, is there any way that we can support you or find out more about you?
I would love to write a book. I wish I had time. There's lots of my talks online, but please do reach out to me. My email is daniel@satire.com. Find me on LinkedIn. I'm really happy to have a conversation. I'm really happy to come and empower you, your leaders, to understand how to make sure that you're placing the right bets with AI.
What an amazing thing for somebody who's coming out of uni or, I mean, there you go. You got it there. Got his email. That's incredible. That was so kind of you, Daniel. Well done. Look, if there was a film, a book, a resource that you would recommend if anybody was interested in AI, what would it be?
Well, actually, I'm funding a movie at the moment. And so I guess the idea is that as AIs start to kind of operate in the world, robots, the sort of the pressure for organizations to get stuff out there fast means that most likely those things will cause harm, accidental harm. They won't be tested well enough. In that future world, there'll be more regulation, more scrutiny. The plot of the movie is that an AI, an android, kills somebody, and the CEO says, "Look, we are not responsible. Actually, this machine is conscious and therefore should be tried with respect to the rights of human beings." I actually think that we're facing into these big scientific questions over the next 5-10 years, and I want to raise as much awareness about it as possible, because actually I think we have a duty of care not just to human beings and animals. We potentially soon have a duty of care to AIs.
Love it. And the name of that film, can you tell us?
It's probably going to be called On.
On, O-N.
O-N.
Love it. Wow. Well, there we go. That's the thing we're all going to be waiting for. Daniel Hulme, you're incredible. You've been a great supporter of ours. I wish you the very best with the film and your incredible journey with WPP. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Thank you.